for Slacker Reviews. Something real quick, because I just got word about this. I want to give a very special thanks to Jason Steele from Film Cow for letting us use his artwork in our thumbnail. Like, that's really, really friggin' cool. This is Film Cow we're talking about. You know, Ghost House, Charlie the Unicorn, llamas with frickin' hats. So, thank you. Very, 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 very much. Another very special thanks to Matt Weiser for always making really, really good thumbnails. He is a very busy guy, and yet he still always finds ways to make time for Slacker Reviews. So to that, you are both gentlemen and scholars, sirs. Anyway, without further ado, here's the review. Pennington, take it away.
The following takes place shortly before Khalil's departure to the Batman v Superman premiere.
Okay, gotta grab my wallet. Gotta get my case.
So, Khalil.
Yeah, Batman?
Have you read any of the bad reviews?
I have.
You're not gonna give it a bad review, are you?
Well, you know, I can't promise anything. You know, Batman, I'm gonna just review it like always. Honest opinion. I can't promise you anything.
Tell me, do you bleed?
What are you talking about?
You will.
How are you doing that? Stop it. Where'd you get a green screen from? I'm gonna leave. I want that gone by the time I get back.
Okay. Have a good time. I love you.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was directed by Zack Snyder, and it stars Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, and Jesse Eisenberg. Now, this movie has been getting a lot of not-so-good reviews in the past week or so. Will I be the first to give it a good review? No, probably not. This film is about, well, if you've seen the trailers for this movie, you pretty much know the premise of it. So let's talk about the characters and the actors that play them. Ben Affleck plays Batman, and I gotta say, I was really skeptical when he was announced, but he played it really, really, really well. He played both Bats and Bruce very, very well. He might be one of my favorite Batmans of all time. Batman? He was probably the movie Batman that portrayed the comics the best. Even though he did the one thing Batman has always said he would never do. Hey, Batman. What's your one rule?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
No, the other one.
I don't kill people.
In this movie, he does. A lot. I was okay with that, though. That was something I was just like, alright, I'll deal with it. Superman snapped Zod's neck in the last movie. I'll deal with Batman casually blowing people up with grenades and shooting them with his Batmobile Gatling gun. But everything Batman in this movie was actually really, really cool. Even Jeremy Irons as Alfred. All of this got me really, really pumped for Ben Affleck's standalone Batman movie, which I really hope he gets to direct. Henry Cavill played Superman once again. And, as always, he was Superman. There's not really much you can do with a character like Superman. Henry Cavill didn't really bring anything new to the table, but I don't think that's his fault. It might just be the material he's given. But honestly, whenever the movie was like focused on Superman, I kind of just stopped paying attention. Amy Adams, once again, plays Lois Lane. And she plays her really well. It's just, like with Henry Cavill, the material she's given, it's not much for her to work with. And that bathtub scene was pretty cool because, you know, it's Amy Adams. But aside from that, her character was kind of pointless. This movie had the same problem that I had with Man of Steel. Lois Lane was always just conveniently there. She was just always there. Wherever the action was happening, she was somehow there. Always playing the damsel in distress for Superman to save her. Like, it got to the point where I just stopped caring when she was in peril. Like, I would zone out during a fight scene, and then that fight scene would cut to Lois Lane drowning, and I'd just be like, how did you get there? Lois, I look away for 5 minutes and you're drowning. How did this even happen? And an actor who's not really talked much about in this movie, but I think deserves a little nod, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. He was probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. He knew the character, he understood how he worked, and he played it super well. Every time he was on screen, I was like, this guy's gonna say something to make me laugh. Yep, there it is. And now, the most controversial actor in this movie. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. He was weird. He was just really weird. Now, I didn't really hate him like a lot of people are tending to do. Like, he played a really good character. His performance was good for the character he was trying to do. The thing was, this character just didn't fit in this movie tonally. Every time he was in a scene, it just felt like a completely different movie, and it took you out of whatever experience DC was trying to give you. Also, Lex had literally no motive in this movie. He was just the villain. He just decided he wanted to be a villain. And Gal Gadot. Totes Gadots. And she played Wonder Woman fantastically. She's not in this movie very much, so don't expect like Batman v Superman v Wonder Woman. But when she is in the movie, she steals the freaking show. I was a little pumped when I saw her. Like, honestly, I was a little bored most of the movie, but when she came on in her Wonder Woman outfit, kicking butt, I got pumped. And like, even her theme song gets you super pumped. Her theme song makes the movie feel just a little bit cooler than it actually is. Which brings me to one of the few things that I liked about this movie. The score. The musical score in this movie was done by Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. These guys are two of the best composers working in film right now. Hans Zimmer, did Inception and Dark Knight. The guy who really likes... And Junkie XL did Mad Max Fury Road and Deadpool. So these are two guys that really know what they're doing, and their styles mixed super well. Like, this is a really, really good score. I want to have this score on my phone and just listen to it day to day. Like, this score is much, much better than this movie deserves. I also really, really liked seeing the Metropolis fight from Bruce Wayne's perspective. It was just something really cool that I've always wanted in a big superhero movie, is the ground perspective of this giant superhero fight and its repercussions. And this gave Batman really good incentive to v Superman. And like I said, I loved everything Batman. Aside from those few things, this movie was a freaking mess. The editing was atrocious. The entire thing was cut like a trailer. Like it left out chunks of the movie just to give us images to show what was happening. It didn't delve into things. It was just like, there's a chase scene happening because here's the Batmobile, here's an explosion, here's gunshots, here's a guy dying, here's the explosions. It was so disorienting and confusing. Not once in the movie did the editing feel coherent. It was just super confusing. Shut up, Batman! The Batmobile chase should have been one of the coolest scenes in the entire movie, but throughout that entire segment, I had no idea what was going on. It was cutting constantly, and I couldn't focus on one thing. At one point, it was the Batmobile, at one point it was a truck, at one point RPG exploding. It was just... which makes zero sense, because they've been editing this movie for a year and a half. There's no reason for this. Maybe it was just in the cooker too long. Like, it was just overbaked. And a lot of people like to blame Zack Snyder for the flaws in this movie. And he's the director of 300 and Watchmen, which I know it's not popular to do, but I love Watchmen. I own the 4-hour-long version of Watchmen, the ultimate cut. 6 discs in here. It's a 4-hour movie with a crap ton of bonus features, because I love this movie. Zack Snyder is really good at making things visually pleasing. Like, the things in this movie look good. It's a beautiful looking movie. So is Watchmen, so is 300. But Zack Snyder's a lot like a wind-up toy. As a director, a writer has to wind him up and point him in the right direction, so then he can go and be entertaining and cool. But if he's not pointed in the right direction, he's gonna start bumping into a wall. He's gonna keep bumping into that wall, because he doesn't know where else to go because no one pointed him in the right direction. So one of the biggest things I'm going to blame for this movie is the writing. This movie has some of the laziest writing I've ever seen. Batman has a really good incentive to v Superman. You know, it makes sense why Batman wants to fight Superman. Superman literally has none. There's one point in the movie, like near the beginning, where Clark Kent is watching the news and he sees Batman and he's just like, I don't like that guy. That's basically what his incentive is. And then after the stupid Batmobile chase scene, Superman shows up and is just like, no more Batman, Batman, and then he flies away. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. In the story, everything in the story was so slow. So slow. It was grueling getting through this movie. And by the time that we actually got to the fight, I didn't care. I should have had, I should have had so much excitement, like the final showdown of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So much excitement happens because you have a lot invested in those three characters. But in this movie, I have nothing invested in anyone. If anything, I just thought Batman was cool. I really shouldn't have been bored in this movie. This is Batman versus Superman. This should have been one of the biggest movies of all time. This should have been one of the most exciting things anyone has ever seen. It just wasn't. And when the fight did happen, the ending it was ridiculous. It was just, again, cheap and lazy writing. I literally laughed out loud in the theater when the ending happened of the fight. And when the Batman-Superman fight was over, I basically clocked out. I was done with the movie at that point. I saw what I wanted to see, and there was still like maybe a half hour left. It got to the point where I was zoning out hardcore. I was just sitting in the theater, just thinking, I wonder how well my 10 Cloverfield Lane review is doing. Why is that light still on? Is that light on in the corner? No, that light's not on. That light's not on. Why is that light bulb on? Is no one else noticing that light is on? Is that light supposed to be on? Because, I mean, it's IMAX, so maybe they change up the lighting? Because, visual stuff? Why is that light on? That's bugging me so much. Why is Lois Lane drowning? And again, with writing, Lex Luthor had no motive in this movie whatsoever. At one point, he says one line of dialogue, and I was like, oh, daddy issues. And then they just gloss over it. And there was also a scene, like, maybe right smack dab in the middle of the movie, that I thought, oh, this is actually a good scene. This is good. This is good. It's going to take a turn. And this movie's actually going to get better. Maybe it was just a slow start. But now, this scene is a crucial scene to this movie. This is going to change everything. The movie glossed over it and forgot about it in like 20 minutes. They had one chance. They had a chance to save it. And they forgot about it. They just forgot about it. This movie was just really, really bogged down by the fact that DC really wants to catch up with Marvel. Like, if we just took out all of the added characters and just had it be Batman and Superman with conflicting moralities leading up to like a giant fight, like a giant 30-minute fight. Both of them are at the final straw. It's just like, oh, these two powerhouses going at it. And then Wonder Woman comes in and is like, guys, stop. There's this bigger threat. We need to deal with that. You guys get your crap together. Now, Daredevil, Season 2, did this really well with Punisher and Daredevil. That whole conflicting morality of Daredevil not wanting to kill bad guys and Punisher saying that's the only way to stop bad guys. And then when their fight happens, it's a really good fight because you're invested in both these characters and you understand both sides. With Superman, I didn't give two craps about Superman. I didn't care what happened to Superman, and I really should have because it's Batman v Superman. He's half the freaking title. They were trying to fill in things just for the Justice League movie. And the Justice League tie-in. The Justice League tie-in was the cheapest piece of crap writing I have ever seen in a superhero movie. You know what? I'm going to spoil it. I don't care. I think the fans deserve to know. I mean, it's not like a huge spoiler, but it's something I really need to talk about if I'm going to review this movie. So the little cameos of the upcoming Justice League characters, they were in an email. All of them. Just in one file attachment. Sent from Batman to Wonder Woman, which is a file that he stole from Lex Luthor. And he's just like, hey, there's more super people. And so there's a scene dedicated to Wonder Woman sitting in a chair on her computer, casually clicking each file of each Justice League character with like a little symbol designating which character is which. And she doesn't click them in the order of which they're placed. No. Wonder Woman clicks them in the order of their movies releasing. That's right. She goes out of her way to click the movies in the order of which they're going to be released by DC. It was the cheapest. You couldn't think of anything better. It's the Justice League movie, one of the biggest things to happen to cinema, and you couldn't think of anything better than a freaking email. And the script was written by the guy who wrote Argo and the guy who wrote The Dark Knight. How does this happen? Who did this? I want names, because it can't be them. And if it is, I'm just... Why? Why? I blame the producers, I blame DC. This was just a mess of a movie. Also, do you remember in Man of Steel, the over-the-top Jesus symbolism for Superman? Yeah, that doesn't go away. No. The Jesus symbolism is much more blatant in this movie. At one point in the movie, Superman literally gets symbolism beaten over his head, just like us, the audience. And to really drive their point home, this film was released on Good Friday, the day Jesus was stuck up on the cross. Yeah, they just drive home the Jesus symbolism way too hard. Now I'm much more excited for Captain America Civil War because Marvel did it right. Because we've had 3 Iron Man movies, we've had 2 Cap movies, and 2 Avengers movies. And now, finally seeing them fight, after almost 10 years of being attached to these characters, after watching these characters grow, I'm gonna get emotional. I got emotional during the trailer. That whole, he's my friend, Tony. So was I. I shed a tear during that trailer, that 2-minute trailer, because I have a lot invested in these characters. DC gave me nothing to be invested in anyone. Overall, this is not a good movie. I mean, it's not Batman and Robin bad. There are some, justifying qualities of it. There were some really cool things, and I respected a lot of things of this movie, and I went into that. But just the bad really outweighs the good in this movie. I am going to give Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice a 6 out of 10. This is the lowest rating I have ever given for a movie. I'm just really sad that it had to go to Batman v Superman. How do you feel about that, Batman?
I don't care. You said I was cool. That's all that really matters. Screw Superman.
Alright. How do you feel about Batman v Superman? Let me know down in the comments. Shoot me a message or something. This is a movie I need to talk about more. Anyway, thank you again for watching. There's going to be a special video coming up soon. Let me know what you want me to review. Shoot me some messages saying, hey Khalil, this movie's super underrated. You should review this one. So, as always, watch movies, my friends.